Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 17 of the Football Pyramid Talk podcast. Back today with Sterling and Simon's last episode before
No.
Aussie. That you're buzzing
Right.
off. Can't wait. Last episode, so it should be a good one. So hopefully we can make it a good send off. So
Hopefully the cricket's a bit better when he's
Yeah,
out
probably
there.
want to be.
yeah, I've already got my prediction wrong. I said 5-0.
Yeah. You
That
haven't got day 3 tickets, have you?
Yeah, for the Brisbane test.
Oh gosh. You best hope they do a bit better than they did on the weekend.
That's not right for the same performance, then. Bloody hell. That'll be an absolute car crash. But yeah, Premier League football and Championship football's back, so we'll be speaking about that as well as all the other leagues which we usually go through. So let's get it underway then, shall we? I want to talk about the Brighton game on the weekend because I'm still buzzing from it, to be honest. It was a great day overall. Watched the football after for about an hour and a bit, didn't we? It was just a great day overall. Bart saved a penalty for Brighton. I mean, I never thought I'd say the words, but it was just another, a comeback victory coming from behind in the second half. Another positive second half performance. What did you think of the game overall?
Yeah, it ended well. And I wish I could say that it went well the whole game, but didn't really get going Brighton, I didn't think, until 70 minutes. Credit where credit's due to Hertzler and the coaching staff, because I think the subs definitely made the difference. Hinchelwood obviously scored the winner. Kadioglu switching to left wing and De Kuiper going left back for Belieber, that was really good. And yeah, just as you said, unbelievable scenes at the end. 2 great goals, and then a penalty save. I just knew he'd save it, as I said to you guys. I just knew he was going to save it. If there was ever a time he was going to save a penalty for Brighton, that was it. Second penalty of the game, last minute. And yeah, it was just absolute carnage.
Yeah, it certainly was, wasn't it? I mean, great atmosphere at the end. I think everyone couldn't really believe what they were seeing when everyone saw him save it, because we haven't seen a pen save, I think, since Forest away, when Jason Steele saved one years ago.
Oh, I do remember that, actually, when Zerbi was there.
Yeah, we still lost 3-0, I think, didn't we? So didn't really
I think we won that game.
Was it?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, anyway. But I thought Brighton were really good in the second half. I thought we were on top for the whole half, really. They didn't really get a sniff. And I think we're just so good at home recently. Unbeaten at home all season, up into 6th as well. We're looking good, even though I've been saying this, even though we didn't play as well as we know we can, we're still picking up results when we're playing like that. When I think seasons before we would just be getting frustrated and dropping points. So I think that's one of the good things which has been implemented this season, that even if we're performing at a level which we shouldn't be, we're still picking up some decent results like we did on the weekend. So yeah, what did you think of it, Simon, overall?
Yeah, I was pleased to see a couple of Pascali starting. I thought he was unlucky to get hooked at half time, really, but he looked good. Left footed, looked assured. He had to give away the free kick that resulted in him getting the yellow card, because Ferdy had decided to showboat his way out of defence rather than play the ball out of defence, so it was really frustrating. But I think Hertzler's got a clear policy that he doesn't want defenders with yellow cards on the pitch. It's not quite as bad as Mark White at Dorking, but he definitely uses the opportunity to hook him as soon as he can. I think Believer was played really well until he gave away the penalty. He'd funded into a couple of challenges like that and won the ball. But those conditions were quite treacherous on Saturday afternoon. It was pouring hard with rain, and it was a slick surface anyway. So he probably would have been advised not to have dived in like that. But apparently he did the same thing for Cameroon on international duty and got hooked. got hooked straight away by the manager then. So, I mean, it doesn't aid his development getting taken off all the time. But overall,
I think. Sorry,
I was going to say, overall, I think it was a good performance as they got into the second half and started to get to terms with what they needed to do. And Minter creating that space for the cross was great, but the finish from Welbeck was even better. Such a good goal.
Yeah, the ball was lovely, and as you said, the finish worked. For me, it was all about the ball. It was just absolutely on a sixpence. It was beautiful. And just before, the point I wanted to make was about Belieber, but you knew that he was going to save it as well, didn't you, Dad? We were both on the same wavelength for that penalty, and it was just. I was so happy to see him save it. It was a world of confidence for Verbruggen. What I wanted to say about Belieber, I wanted to get your takes on it. I think he's overcompensating a little bit because he knows that he's not been at the standards of last season. And I think he would never have made that challenge last season. And I think he really is just overcompensating. He almost trying too hard. I don't know what you make of that.
No, I do agree with that, to be fair, because as you say, you wouldn't really see him do that last season. He'd probably be a bit more sensible. But I think he's just kind of desperate to get the form back. He's a real hard-working kid, and I think he knows that he should be performing better. I think that price tag and the rumours have really affected him badly because obviously he would have seen it. The amount of attention he got, the money on the line from just for him in himself, just being worth about 115 million as a 21-year-old, 22-year-old, something like that. It's a lot of pressure to have on your shoulders, isn't it? But he did play well. I think that penalty sort of just put it under the radar a little bit from some Brighton fans. But if you look outside of that, I thought he looked really good and made a couple of really good tackles, got the crowd going a few times as well with some of the feisty tackles and, some of the old movements that he used to be doing last season. So
Yeah.
it was a good sign, but should never be making that penalty decision to slide in like that.
Yeah, he was looking like his old self.
He's just a kid, though, isn't he? At the end of the day, I think Ertz has said something along those lines. At the end of the game, he's going to make mistakes. It's not the finished article. But if I was in Brighton's hierarchy and United are offering me something sensible, I'd take the money now. I really would.
Yeah, that's very true. Because, some fans are saying his head's in Manchester at the minute, but we have to wait and see, won't we? I think it'll be an interesting window from his point of view, see if he stays or goes, even though, not a lot of players decide to move in January. They want a full season at a new club, but I think he might be deciding whether he should or shouldn't at the minute in time. Right, we'll move on to another game on the Saturday night after our game, Newcastle Man City. In the stadium after, we had the Brighton highlights on, and then you kept turning around and seeing about, 5 or 6 chances happening for either team. It looked like a really good game. And I've got it here, 4 big chances missed for Newcastle, 3 big chances missed for City. So it looked like it could have been a very high-scoring game. But Newcastle got a very much-needed win. So, what do you think that does for the title race now? Because 7 points behind now, City. And Arsenal getting, of course, the win on the weekend, which we'll touch on. What do you think it does for the title race now?
Well, I think it makes it Arsenal's title to lose, but we'll talk about them a bit later on. I thought it was a good game, but an insight that I wanted to share with people was that I watched Match of the Day on Sunday morning, and they gave a fair amount of prominence to the game. But me and Sterling watched some highlights on the iPlayer, and they were even more extensive. So I don't really know what's going on with the BBC and the highlights package at the moment, but in future, I don't think I'll bother watching Match of the Day. I'll just watch the extended highlights of all the games.
You can basically just go on. You have to explain exactly what it is, though, Dad. You just have to go on to it says "My Team" or "Watch My Team," doesn't it?
And it's got all the games.
And you go
all the games there. So I thought Newcastle played really well. I thought they were outstanding. Don't know why Guardiola was blown up at the end. I never quite worked that out because the highlights on the show didn't really show what it was that was causing him to be so offended by what was happening. But you've written in the notes there, George, that he was hit a cameraman. Sarcastic applause at the officials. Sort of sarcastic handshakes with the Newcastle players. I don't really know what his problem was. There were two great goals from Barnes, but he should have probably have had a hat-trick, as you say.
He's just pissed off in the manner of which they lost the game, ended up losing the game, because they just got back into it before they then went 2-1 down, didn't they? So maybe he's just all fired up.
Yeah, because he said in his interview for, I think it's Champions League football, I think might be on this week. He said in his interview he's like apologising to the cameraman and stuff like that. He's not happy with the actions that he did, but it was a bit of a crash out really from his point of view. But it's still been a poor start from Newcastle's point of view. It's only moved them up to 14. You know, even though it's a really good result for them, they still won't be happy with the position they're in at the minute, being 14th. In the past couple of seasons, especially, they would have been way higher up the table. So they want to start kicking a bit of form because their away form's been tragic, which is part of the reason why they're so far down the table at the minute. So, yeah,
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
their home form's always good. It's a hard place to go, St James's, but it's been their away form. They can't seem to get it over both of those factors, both home and away. They can't seem to get the same results across the board.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So we'll have to wait and see there, because I think that was Eddie Howe's first win against Man City in his managerial career, wasn't it?
First win
I'm pretty
against
sure.
Guardiola.
Yeah.
Guardiola, so that's good from his point of view. He'll be very happy with that. Hopefully he can take that into the next couple of games and hopefully find a run of form, because not been the best of starts from their point of view. But we'll move on to what you wanted to talk about, Sterling. Villa getting an away win against Leeds 2-1. You've had an absolute blinder with Morgan Rogers captain. You talked to me about it at the Brighton game.
Yeah. Got to go for those differentials, mate.
Yeah. Come up wonders, hasn't it, mate?
Did 30 points as a skipper. I'm happy with that. Yeah, Villa, it was interesting first off. Leeds took the lead really early on. And it was a bizarre goal, really. And then they were rocking it back and forward for 5 minutes almost, wasn't it, Dad? So it was doing our head in. But I'm glad to see it got given, because Emi Martinez was making a meal of it, but it was never a foul. Villa in the first half, it was very much shades of what they were like at the start of the season, like when we were saying lack a bit of whip, or not a bit, lack whip, lack a bit of pace in certain areas. And one thing I said to you, Dad, didn't I? They did not get the ball to Ollie Watkins' feet or clip it to him in the channels like you would see in previous seasons at all in that first half, did they?
No, they were really poor, I thought, in the first half, Villa. But it shows you the quality of coach in Unai Emery, that he made the changes that he did, and he realised there wasn't enough width there. And he brought Marlon on, he brought Maatson on at half time, and I think it really changed it. And I said to Sterling as the second half was going on, I said, this is the trouble with Farker. He can set the team up and get them playing, but he can't respond to tactical changes by the opposition. And he didn't start to go long and try and hit Calvert-Lewin until the 71st minute, and he should have been doing that almost as soon as he saw those two come on, because he needed to change the entire philosophy of the team, really. And it really was just a case of if Villa could get a winner once they'd equalised, because they were definitely in the ascendancy. And by the time Calvert-Lewin came on, it was really too late. I still don't quite understand how that second goal went in. It's just Morgan Rogers. I mean, he just seemed to just hit it with the inside of his foot and chip it over the wall. It's an amazing piece of skill.
Yeah, it was great technique for that goal. It really was.
I think the goalkeeping, the fact
Got
that
to ask questions.
he stood still. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter, but there's fans inside of like I don't know, it's like a box behind the goal, and he's like, "What the fuck's he doing? What the fuck?"
Yeah. What's
Really,
keeper doing?
yeah, just stood there like a melon. I didn't.
Yeah.
The angle, it just looked like it was right next to him, but on TV it looks a lot better. So, but
Yeah.
definitely shouldn't have done better. I mean, the fact that he didn't even move was questionable in itself. From I think it's Lucas Perry.
Yeah, they started off with Darlow in goal, and they seem to be doing quite well with him in goal. I saw a couple of the games, and he's a good shot stopper. And then they brought this Lucas Perry in, and I don't think he's covered himself in glory the way he set that up, I'm afraid.
I do agree that I think the keeper should have and probably could have done a bit better, but I think the technique, the way he's hit it, a lot of pace and dip, and then a bit of swerve at the end as well, just to take it away from him. It makes it really hard for the keeper because he's not sure where that's going. He might be thinking that's going over the bar, and then it dips in and it swerves a bit, and he's hit it really quick. So I do think credit's got to go to Morgan Rogers for that, and his first goal was really good as well. Marlon put the ball across and he just stabbed it with his left foot, didn't he? Weak foot. I wanted to speak, well, first of all, I'll just say, I wanted to speak about Morgan Rogers and him in the World Cup for England, because it seems like Tuchel's really favouring him as a 10 in recent games. And I mean, he is coming up trumps. He scored that fantastic goal against Spurs the other week. He scored two literally yesterday. So, what do you think about that? Do you think he's odds on to be starting there? Because he's pulling out all the stops in the Prem.
No, I was going to say, first of all, take nothing away from the free kick because it's incredible technique, isn't it? So you can't take anything away from the way that Rodgers has hit it. But in terms of him starting for England, I think he's in with a great shout. Really good recent form, which has probably got him back in the ascendancy, I would have reckoned, because he didn't have the best of starts to the season by his standards, and he's sort of started to kick form now. That brace would have massively helped his confidence. Tuchel would have seen that and really been impressed by it. So, he's got massive competition in there as well. He's got Bellingham and Palmer still to come back, and Palmer especially to come back in the ascendancy. You've got Foden in there as well. So there's a lot of competition to be able to get that starting spot. But I think he's definitely in contention because he's performing at a really high level recently. And you've got Bellingham not performing at a standard that he would like to be performing at in the La Liga. And obviously Palmer's stubbed his toe, so he's out for even longer. And Foden missed a sitter against Newcastle. So, he's probably the most informed player in that position at the minute in time. So we'll have to see I wonder what Tuchel's thinking, because it will be a really difficult position to choose at the World Cup. 100%.
Well, he's basically thinking, I want to pick the best players for the position on current form. So it's Rodgers' position to lose, really. If there's a long time to go before the next international games. We don't even know who they're going to be playing at the moment because they're going to set up some friendlies, apparently. But if he carries on in that form, then there's no way Tuchel's going to drop him for Bellingham, regardless of what his reputation is, or Foden, or Palmer. I think it will be that pecking order, really. And they're best mates as well, aren't they? More, Bellingham,
Palmer and Morgan Rogers.
Yeah, both the same celebration, haven't they? So, yeah, it'll be an interesting one, that.
Oh, is it Palmer and Rogers that are best mates?
Yeah. So,
Palmer nabbed his celebration.
They're both at City when they were younger, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So know each other from that. But anyway, we'll move on. A game where you sort of shock. I mean, Liverpool got absolutely thumped at home really to Nottingham Forest, 3-0. I mean, you wanted to speak about this, Simon. It wasn't a memorable afternoon at Anfield,
No,
was
it's
it?
terrible. I think that was the first game at Anfield where the crowds turned on the players, especially, but by extension on Slot. Reading the reports of the game, they were saying that basically the crowd thought that some players were ducking out of challenges in the second half, and they don't like that at Liverpool, and they made their feelings quite clear. It's difficult to tell from the highlights just to what extent that was actually happening. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was a very uncomplicated tactical setup from Nottingham Forest. They were just set up to absorb pressure and hit Liverpool on the break, trying to maximise the opportunities from set pieces. Sean Dyche said after the game, I told the players before the match we're not going to bother trying to play out from the back because they're just annihilate us with the press, so we're just going to go long. Same old story. Teams have rumbled it. Liverpool still can't do anything about it. There's definitely things wrong within the squad. Again, the report in the Observer yesterday was talking about a passage of play in the second half, and the journalist writing the report said, I don't even know if Isak was on the pitch at this stage because he'd been completely anonymous the entire time he was on the pitch. So whether he was on the pitch or not is almost immaterial. They need to find some answers quickly. And apparently, I think everybody's seen Virgil was slating the rest of the team publicly in the media, but he was doing that at volume in the corridor outside the changing room, making sure people could hear him because he was shaking with anger. Apparently, he was so wound up by it. The trouble is they'll have a reaction against PSV, but it's the league games that they really need to be sorting out because you've got so many chances to have a bad performance in the Champions League with this setup of games. It's the league where you can't afford to lose games. They've already lost the title, 6 defeats. They can't claw that back. There's no way Arsenal and City are going to lose that number of games. So, yeah, it was a frustrating and disappointing performance.
Yeah, teams have definitely worked out to play Liverpool. Just seems to be, as you said, the constant same result, and they have no answer on how to stop it from happening. Kanate was shocking, wasn't he? The goal that could have been worse for Liverpool, the goal that got disallowed. We were watching it, weren't we? He said that it's probably harsh that it did get disallowed, and Kanate for that, it was just absolutely woeful defending.
It's never been disallowed on that goal. It wasn't handball.
No, they got lucky there. But to be honest, credit where credit's due to Sean Dyche for recognising that and setting them up the way they did. They got the win. I think, the first time was last season when they beat Liverpool. It was their first time they beat Liverpool since the 80s or 90s at Anfield, I think. And then I saw some stupid stat like it's the first time an away team, it might have just been Forest, but first time an away team's done the double over Liverpool, consecutive back-to-back away at Anfield. Something silly like that, but regardless, point is massive from Nottingham Forest, and I think the goals they scored were really quite good. The second one from that fella, I don't know too much about him, from Juventus.
Savona, yeah, he's good.
Yeah, it was a nice finish, and then Morgan Rogers with the third. Not Morgan Rogers, Morgan Gibbs White with the third as well. So yeah, I think credit where credit's due. They did score some nice goals and evidently played really well.
Yeah, very well. You got to give Forest the credit. Not good for me on the way out to Forest on the weekend. We didn't want that result on some good form. Hopefully it's not 8 this time. But
if it's 8, then they'll do one better than last season. It was only 7, wasn't
it? Yeah, that's what I mean. Don't want it to get any worse.
Yeah, I'll try to block that day out of my head.
But yeah, credit where credit's due to Forest. Unbelievable performance and a real statement victory from Sean Dyche, I would say, because not many fans would say that he would have been, one of the managers that Forest would have gone wow for, just a proper like bog standard managerial signing at the start of his reign. Burnley, proper Sean Dyche ball, mid-table, but he's working wonders there. To be fair to him, he's had a really good start, and you've got to give credit to him because I think he suits the system and the players which he's got to a T. So
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me that you've got here, Simon, that they had 25% possession in the game. So, and then they absolutely took their chances, and Liverpool didn't. So, massively deserved win for them in the end. So, we'll move on to Arsenal. Another win in the title race and an unbelievable performance from them. Really good finishes, no set piece goals, all from open play, which was good to see. Without Gabriel, it didn't really look like they needed him with that Hincapié. He slotted in very well. But yeah, much better from Arsenal's point of view after the disappointment from Sunderland away. But yeah, what do you think of it, Simon?
Yeah, well, I think it's a statement win that really. It's sort of set their intent for this Christmas period that's coming up, Christmas and New Year. I think they set their stall out. This is what they are, the title front runners, and they've pulled 6 points clear now, I think, haven't they? And they made light of the fact that they were a few players short. I think Calafiore had only been training for a couple of days, so it was doubtful if he was going to play, but he managed to last most of the game. That Nkapie looked not particularly physically imposing, but he read the game really well. So he really compensated for Gabriel not being in there. And Eze's hat-trick was just stunning, really. There was all great goals that were down to his movement and ability to finish, really. I was quite impressed with that. Because he'd got off to a fairly slow start, I think. He'd only had 2 goals in the first 11 games at Arsenal.
Yeah.
So the fact that he sort of bagged that first hat-trick there at Arsenal augurs well for England as well, because he's going to be an important presence, I think, in that team. I think, that where he was playing for Arsenal is not where he's going to play for England. He's probably going to be shifted out onto the left, I would have thought. But yeah, it was good. Great performance, good game. Tottenham a bit embarrassed by it. Frank and Vicario came out after the game and apologised to the fans, but there was no point doing that in the stadium because most of the Tottenham supporters are fucked off home. So
yeah. No, after
Yeah.
the away end was gone, wasn't it? It was a very lacklustre performance from Spurs' standards. I mean, they didn't really create anything, and Arsenal just dominated the whole game. Really, you think they might have a chance after half time, get an early goal, but then Arsenal got the early goal to make it 3-0, which sort of just put any chances of a comeback happening out of the window straight away. So, statement victory from Arsenal. Look like they're just making statement after statement. There's things happening to them. Gyökeres out injured. How can they deal with that? Gabriel out injured. How can they deal with that? Etc. Etc. And they're dealing with it after the recruitment they had in the summer, which was made for these situations to happen. And now they are happening. They're working, and they're still getting results. So yeah, what do you think, Sterling? I think it's a real big statement from them.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. It's a really good point that the depth that they've been lacking in previous seasons that they've now got is really coming to fruition to help them at crucial times. It's going to be the busiest period in the season going into Christmas. We know how chaotic it can be, and they're losing key players like Gabriel and Gyökeres, but they've got players to step up. Gyökeres ain't there to score. You've got Eze stepping up. You've got Saka who's just came back. You've got what's matey boy called at centre half, replacing Gabriel. Yeah, him. Couldn't think of his name, but the point is, yeah, I completely agree that they've it's all down to the recruitment, and they've got that depth there, which is now It's what you need if you're going to win a league. You need that depth there. You've seen City, you've seen Liverpool as well last season. They had depth. So when big players were out, the players coming in could do the job and get you over the line. And that's what you see at Arsenal now. And it's 100% theirs to lose. 100%.
Yeah, it would be a real shock. I mean, if they somehow bottle it again, I mean, that would be pretty mad that they, with teams below them not performing to a standard of a title challenging team, really. Arsenal look the only team that look, established to be a title winning side at the minute in time, because City and Liverpool and Chelsea just keep having little blips, and Arsenal just have only had one real blip recently against Sunderland. So yeah, it's their title to lose at the minute, and I think they will win it eventually. I think the only real way they do lose it is critical injuries, which massively affect their squad depth, which, you've got to be really unlucky for that to happen. So you hope for their sake that doesn't happen, because you want them to win it properly, don't you? Not just because of injuries happening, etc., etc. But we'll move on to the Championship with a lot of high-scoring games in this league. I'll start off with what I wanted to talk about. Southampton's interim manager, Tonda Ekret, who's been rumoured to be joining the club on a permanent basis by Fabrizio Romano, because we were, before the game, I think it was half time at the, I think it was a 12:30 or something like that. And they were 4-0 up inside 22 minutes. And we were like, what's going on? Because, we didn't really know the manager, because it was an interim manager. No one was aware of who he was. But 3 wins from 3 since he's been in charge. You reckon he's got a chance of being appointed as the permanent gaffer?
Yeah, it seems that way. 3 wins in 3 is impressive, and it was needed for the Saints. But I can't say I know anything about him, to be quite honest. I don't know anything about the bloke, so it seems like it would be a bit of a gamble, because I'm sure he's not managed in the Championship before, and it's a bit of a lesser known face, if you want, in and amongst football. But I mean, he seems to be doing the business, and it's a good result against Charlton. They've not been doing too bad.
Yeah,
What I found funny about the game was the Saints fans were absolutely annihilating Nathan Jones. Absolutely annihilating him all game. All game, saying, Nathan, what's the score? Nathan, what's the score? All sorts of abuse they were giving him. Saying, cheer up, Nathan Jones. Oh, what can it mean? You get the gist. Yeah, it was good.
It's a humiliation for Nathan Jones going back there, because he's the sort of person that talks a good talk, but when it comes to actually managing football clubs, I don't think he's quite got it, quite frankly. And there must be something wrong at the club if they're getting tonked 4-0 within 21 minutes. I mean, that's awful. I don't know anything about this Eckhart. I mean, I just had a quick look on the internet, and there's nothing out there about him, so he would be a real gamble. But he's obviously getting something out of that squad that Will Steele couldn't, so they may well go for it. It's not too late, because of the number of games in the Championship. It's not too late to get onto the edges of the playoffs. They've got no chance of getting up there near the top. There's too many good teams that are playing consistently well, but a good run might get them up into the top half, and a late run at the playoffs. So it's just interesting there that Adam Armstrong scored a goal and got 2 assists. That's the sort of player they've got there that, unfortunately, when you get in the Premier League, he's demonstrated that he's just not the quality necessary to thrive at that level. So, I wonder whether having a transitional season this season might be a better plan of action for Southampton. It'd be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, it will be. But you got Finn Azaz with a brace as well, who was just recently with the Irish national team. That's a shocking performance from Charlton, because they've been doing all right before that. I think they were like 5 games unbeaten, and 2 losses on the bounce against Wrexham and Southampton, obviously. So, yeah, as you said, Nathan Jones was just getting taken the piss out of the whole 90 minutes because they were 5-0 up at one point, and then Charlton got a goal just before half time. There was no goals in the second half. So, yeah, they've moved into 16th, Saints, which is nowhere near where they should be for their standards. But apparent discussions with him become the permanent boss. I mean, if you're making, having results like that, you can understand why they would think about making him a permanent boss, because Charlton were above them at the table at the moment. I think they still are above them. So it's not like an easy game. It was a tough game on paper for them to go to, and they absolutely wiped the floor of Charlton. So you can see why Saints board might be happy to have him on board. What do you think?
Yeah, well, as I say, it's a gamble. And they probably know a little bit more about him than everybody else, but there's not a lot of information out there about him.
No, I saw on FootMob he was the old under-21s manager, and off the top of my head, he was the old assistant coach at Genoa in Italy. So that's the only thing, and he's German. That's the only things I've got. I don't think there's much more either, to be fair, unless you spoke to him personally. But
Get him on as one of my guest
yeah,
speakers.
yeah, contact him, mate. We'll move on to something you wanted to talk about, Simon. Coventry with a really good comeback win. It looked like they had a bit of a scare, but former Albion man Jason Malumbi with a second yellow to sort of have a twist in the game.
Yeah, I think it was 2-1 at that stage, but I mean, West Brom had flown out the blocks and got themselves a 2-goal lead with Egebo. And then I think Coventry showed their resilience and promotion credentials really by coming back into that game, regardless of the red card. I think they had the momentum behind them. Josh Eccles got the goal, and then Ellis Sims and Victor Torp gave them the 3 points, and they're starting to look like a really good side with a lot of that sort of backbone that you're going to need to get promoted into the Premier League. So, good result.
They got a lot of quality in that team, Coventry. A lot of quality. And as you said, backbone, that's what you need if you're going to get promoted out of the Championship, winning games like that, coming from behind, showing resilience. But that Malumbi always seems to be getting sent off. He seems like a bit of a nasty bastard, doesn't he?
I was thinking,
He was the one that had that scrap in pre-season. It was actually throwing hands.
fucking punched someone in pre-season, didn't he?
He was throwing hands.
Got another red card there. He must be one to lose his 10th with.
It's no wonder why Brighton let him go.
Yeah, if you're getting rattled, you could really wound him up. But Coventry have gone 7 points clear now. They look right up in the ascendancy to win this title. And they just look brilliant, don't they? They just keep winning and winning. I mean, that Wrexham game was a blip, but ever since then they've won 3 games in a row, so it's not like it's affected them massively. It's only just a blip, as I said. But yeah, they just look really good, and Frank Lampard's doing wonders there, which I think, as we've said, lots of fans wouldn't have expected to happen, but he's working his wonders there, and he's got them 7 points clear at the top, so massive credit to him. But there's been a lot of managerial appointments, which just briefly speak about, just so we get the point across that we've seen it. We got Vitor Matos is now the new manager of Swansea. He joins from Maritimo in the Portuguese. Maritimo, there you go. Butchered, there we go, there's another one. And then
add it to the compilation, mate.
Yeah. Middlesbrough, this is a big one for them. They've appointed Kim Hellberg as their new manager. 37-year-old Swedish manager from Hammarbys, who are second in the Swedish top flight. So, decent appointment there by just looking at it off of what he's done at his club in Sweden. And then Norwich boss, now appointed Norwich boss Felipe Clement. former Rangers boss got appointed. He got off to a tragic start, lost 4-1 away to Birmingham in his first game. But, out of them three, what one do you reckon is the most important on the basis of how each team have started? Because I think all of them haven't started off the way they would have wanted to. So, which club do you reckon needs it the most?
Surely except Middlesbrough, they've been doing great.
Yeah.
They would have started the way they wanted to, I'd thought, but probably say most important for him to get off to a good start, but I worry for him a little bit because I just think it's so hard to get out of the Championship. And you look, the teams that go up are often with managers who know how to get out of that league. I don't know whether this fella's going to quite know how to do it, regardless of how good he is as a coach, because it's quite a unique division, the Championship. I don't know what you think about that, Dad.
Yeah, well, I think the one that impressed me is Kim Hellberg. As you say, he might have a little bit of lacking experience, but I think he is a top coach. The one that made me sort of sit up and notice was Philip Clement going to Norwich, because he's not got a great record as a manager. He really hasn't. And I don't think he's gone down well at the club. But if you think you'd expect a new manager bounce going into a club, and getting conked 4-1 at Birmingham isn't really what you'd expect. So he hasn't exactly hit the ground running. His managerial career, he struggles to get past 50-55% win percentage, where he's been managing at Genk, Monaco and Club Brugge. So I don't think he's going to last beyond this season, frankly.
Maybe they just need someone to stabilise it
They're
over
the
there.
club
Maybe
that
I think
needs
that's the...
a proven sort of championship level manager more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely.
Middlesbrough got
Yeah.
the squad to take on board new ideas and a new way of playing, if that's what this Hellberg brings to it. But Norwich really are in trouble down at the foot of that championship table, and it seems like an underwhelming appointment, frankly.
Yeah, from the question that I asked, it's probably Norwich, isn't it? Because they're struggling so badly down there, and they need a really good manager to get them out of that position, because it's really damaging to see that they're doing that badly. But yeah, Middlesbrough need it as well, because they want to stay up there, try and get back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Swansea, because Swansea are in. Check here, Swansea are in 20th. I mean, that's really bad. They're near Norwich as well. So both teams badly need a new manager bounce, which Norwich didn't get, but hopefully Swansea can get that, because he managed to side on the weekend. So, yeah, but Middlesbrough will be hoping to keep up form with the new manager, but Swansea and Norwich will be open to sort of turn things around, because it's not been going well there for either side at the minute. But yeah, we'll move on to League One with a couple of high-scoring games in this division. We'll start off with what you wanted to talk about, Sterling. Mansfield, Huddersfield, 3-1 victory for Huddersfield, who move up into 7th, and former Albion player Rudcliffe.
Yeah, I struggled as well, mate. It's fine.
Radilovic.
Radulovic is how I said it in my head. Yeah, I was surprised actually that he was once on the books of the Albion, and I think he was in that team that won the. Well, obviously the PL2 is the top division. I think he was in that team that came up.
Yeah.
He come up on Foot Mob that he won a trophy. So it was either that or it was Sussex Senior Cup. But regardless, former Albion, that surprised me. 2 assists and a goal in that game. Really tall, big, tall striker, strong. Scored a header to open the scoring. Looks quite a tidy player. Got 9.2 rating on Foot Mob for the for the game. Obviously, two assists and a goal. You're gonna do quite well on the ratings scale. And he's got 3 goals, 3 assists in the league, and I think that's moved Huddersfield up to 7th. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've not got my laptop tonight, but yeah, it seems like they've got a few handy players, and by watching the highlights, they had some nice football on show. Particularly the second goal, it was just a nice bit of play, and then a nice finish from
Dion Charles.
your. There you go on the notes. So yeah, I was impressed with Huddersfield, and I don't think we've covered them all too much, but they're another one of those clubs where big status, big ground. Well, we have spoken about them a few times, but not really when they've won, I don't think.
Yeah.
But for any Huddersfield fans watching or listening, they'll be happy that we're talking about them in a better light. But I think they can definitely kick on, because it looks like they got some good players, and yeah, another good win.
Yeah, another good win, wasn't it? Yeah, Dion Charles they got from Bolton. I don't know if it was last season or the season before, but I remember him doing really well for Bolton in this league. So I think that's a good addition from their point of view. But third in a row for Huddersfield, so really good form. Looking to sort of build back the momentum they had at the start of the season, because they've had a bit of a poor run of form.
Yeah.
Which is why we've sort of mentioned it, because they're a team that you'd expect to be up there in this league table, especially in the last couple of years. Being in the Premier League, etc., etc. So yeah, they also beat Mansfield at home in the EFL Trophy you've got here as well, Sterling, a few weeks ago. So represent for Huddersfield's point of view. But yeah, what do you think of it, Simon? A decent result, and yeah, high flying at the minute.
Yeah, and a good run at the moment, so that augurs well for them. That division's got so many potentially big clubs in it. You need to be generating a bit of momentum, really, to get yourselves up into the playoffs and stay there. So they're just on the edge at the moment.
Yeah, just on the edge, and it will be a really tough league to get out of this year. Very competitive. And you've got so many big teams, which we mention a lot on this podcast. So I'm not going to mention all of them again, but you probably know if you watch week in, week out. So yeah, good run of form, and they'll be open to get back in the playoff spots, because I reckon it'll be very tough to, get yourself a place in them playoff spots if you don't keep up consistency. But we'll move on to a very surprising result we saw on the weekend. Barnsley thumped Luton to end a 5-match unbeaten run, 5-0 at Oakwell. I mean, it was a real shock result. How well Luton had been performing, but Barnsley put that aside, didn't they?
And Jack Wilshere admitted after the game that it was a reality check for his side, so maybe it's just what they needed. But I mean, I was quite surprised. And when you dive down into the stats of the game, Luton had 70% possession, Barnsley had 30%. And yet Barnsley came out top in terms of goals, chances, shots on target, shots off target. Hit the woodwork twice. That was an absolute abject performance from Luton. So it makes you wonder what's going on there, really, because that is stunning to see that. He's obviously got them playing football that he wants them to play, because 70% possession, but to have 70% possession and still get beaten on other stats like shots on target and shots off target is incredible, really. What are you doing with the ball? You're not doing anything with it, are you?
Yeah.
Nothing with intent, that's for sure. Really surprising result, and I'd love to know what quite went wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's about what you do with the possession, isn't it? And clearly Luton didn't do enough with it to concede 5 goals and not score a goal with that much possession. Luke O'Connell got a goal. I think he used to play for Celtic and Bolton, I'm pretty sure. He used to be quite a high-rated youngster, but hasn't really hit the heights that he was meant to hit. But yeah, I think it's a very surprising result, but it's not a surprise to see Barnsley high at the table, because they have been in recent years and a championship club. So, a very surprising result on the basis of how well Luton have been doing, but Barnsley absolutely thumped them, so fair play to them. But I wanted to talk about lastly a really good game, 5-goal thriller. Wickham beat Lincoln 3-2 at home. Lincoln came from 2 goals down in the second half just to give away a lead in the last minute, 3-2 to Wickham, Jake Grimmer, to get the winner. It moves Wickham into 10th after such a poor start, just 4 points outside the playoffs. I mean, since Michael Duff's come in, 14 games, 9 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses. Not bad at all, is it, for a side very near the bottom of the table? How do you think he's turned around the club in the recent weeks? Because it's been a terrific start to his life as a Wickham manager.
Yeah, brilliant. Those stats say it all. You know, it's completely turned things around. And we said last week, didn't we? If you're one of these teams down the bottom and you can mount a run of games, the league's so tight that you can get up there. And, you know, as you said, 4 points off the playoffs. Is that right? There you go. You know, and it seems like with the way they're playing, that's where they'll be. And they're another one of those clubs. You know,
Yeah.
and like I said, we're not going to go through them all, but they are one of them. Traditionally, quite a big club. So, yeah, thoroughly impressed with that.
Yeah, very impressed. I mean, they had, don't know if you know him, Sterling, former Albion Academy product, Jamie Mullins.
Yeah.
Playing in the cam, he got an assist in the game. Good to see him doing well because I think he went on the permanent in sort of that spree of players that sort of left the club on permanence across the EFL, and I think good to see him doing well at a decent level, which is good to see. Sam Bell on loan from Bristol City, he got a brace in the game, 6 goals, 1 assist in the league for him, so good experience in the league below after not getting a lot of time in the Championship for Bristol City. But it's an incredible run of form. 11 games unbeaten on all competitions, 7 wins, 4 draws for Wickham. So massively impressed with them. And, you know, Lincoln have dropped outside the automatics now because of that. Just shows how much the table can switch up. I don't think they were top not long ago, and now they've dropped out of the playoff, the automatic spots. So, yeah, what do you think of it all, Simon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite impressed by that, I must admit, because we talked about Lincoln last week and how well they've been going. So to beat them at home 3-2, good result. And Wickham traditionally have done quite well in League One over the last few years, and it was surprised to see him down the bottom half. But he seems to have turned things round there now, so it all goes well for them. They're up against it because of the bigger clubs in that division, but I mean, they had a decent performance in the League Cup against Fulham a few weeks ago as well, so he's obviously got them playing really well. So it'd be interesting to see if they can maintain that momentum.
Yeah, exactly that. But we'll move on to League Two. A lot of high-scoring games in this division, but you wanted to talk about, Simon, an eventful 2-2 draw between Grimsby and Swindon. I saw this game because of, you know, it being a high top of the table clash, really, near each other in the table. So would have been a key game for both teams, but it ended in a poor draw. What did you think of it?
Yeah, well, two teams both aiming for promotion out of that division. What made me laugh about this game was Ian Holloway after the game saying that his team's performance was garbage. We talked before about man management and how people like Frank Lampard and Robbie Savage have obviously got that ability to lead teams because of their personalities. I just wonder whether that might be something that comes back and bites Holloway in the end. They were 2-0 up. I think that's what really got on Holloway's goat, was the fact that they were 2 up. Palmer and Bodin put them in the lead, but Grimsby came back and with 2-2 at half time. Neither side could really force a winner, and the game ended all even. But I can see where his frustration comes from. You're 2-0 up, as you said, George. Important game for two teams gunning for promotion, and then to surrender that must have stuck in his core a little bit.
Yeah, can imagine so, can't you? I think Swindon have gone 7 games unbeaten now in the league, so they're on a good run of form. So he would have been disappointed that he couldn't really end that run of form in the end, after obviously being 2 goals up. But yeah, I mean, as I said, both teams near the top of the table. They both would have been wanting a result. All goals were in the first half. So a very compact second half from both teams. Grimsby outside of the playoffs now, so they're sort of trying to battle to get back in there because it's so compact. Down in 12th, you're only 1 point away from playoffs in 7th place, so it just shows how competitive it is. But yeah, what do you think of it, Sterling? Because both teams would have wanted to win, but neither did.
Yeah, I mean, it shows the quality of both of them, I think, battling it out at the top. 2-2 draw, competitive. This is what you want to see, really, as a neutral. I know the fans and the team, but both of the teams, sorry, would have wanted to win, but as a neutral, looking in, that's what you want to see, really competitive game. Both teams, two of the best teams, it seems, in the league, just going at it toe for toe. And I think Ian Holloway, he's always been a bit of a character, hasn't he? So I
Yeah,
don't doubt that he's got good man management. And I think, to be honest, I think it could be uh, a strong quality in a manager. And I think a lot of other managers could take a leaf out of people like Ian Holloway's book. I know when De Zerbi was at Brighton, I loved how straightforward and honest he was in press conferences. And it's one of the things that I think it annoys you as well at times with Hertzler. It feels like he's kind of beating around the bush and not saying it how it is. It's another thing, going back to the cricket, that's been annoying me with listening to England reflect after the first test match being thrown away. And they're not coming out and saying what the truth was about how they could do better. They're just kind of making excuses for it. So
yeah,
the fact that Ian Holloway has said that, I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. If he was doing it every week, then fine. But I think sometimes, as fans, you want to hear that, and as players, sometimes you need to hear that.
yeah. It's good to say how it is sometimes, isn't it? And him saying that would have been appreciated by the Swindon fans, and because that would have been a crucial game for them to keep up the momentum that they had. They've kept their unbeaten run, but they would have expected a win on the day after being 2 goals up, but didn't happen on the day. But we'll move on to Oldham. I wanted to talk about getting a 3-0 win over Newport County. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you saw, I sent it to you, was Christian Fuchs is the new manager of
Yeah,
Newport. Very interesting appointment from
so
them.
random.
So random, isn't it? After a tragic start to the season. And he didn't get off to the best of starts, a 3-0 loss against Oldham. I mean, what do you think of the appointment? I mean, he's got the experience, Premier League winner and all sorts, but he didn't get off to the best of starts against Oldham, did he?
Yeah, but I think he's not had that long to actually implement his philosophy, has he? And as you said, that he's got the experience and the quality to be a Premier League winner. I think he'll do quite well there. I'd like to think, anyway.
Yeah, he's got the experience, hasn't he? Which is always good. I think he's only just retired. I think he was in America with some, I think it was like Charlotte or something like that. I might be wrong. But a brace in the game for Josh Hawkes, got man of the match for Oldham, and then Joe Quickly with another who was decent in the National League for them. But what surprised me most about Oldham, seeing as they've been a promoted side from the National League, they've conceded the least amount of goals in the league with just 12 goals, 0.7 a game, which is 3 better than anyone else in the league, 9 clean sheets. Very impressive for a newly promoted side, having the least amount of goals in the whole division as a newly promoted team. So that's what impressed me the most. But I think he's got a job on his hands, Christian Fuchs, because they set bottom with 11 points, 5 points off into the drop zone, and they conceded the most goals in the league, 31, nearly 2 a game with 1.8. So it looks like a tragic start to the season, which we've mentioned, but it was a good win for Oldham, but Newport need to sort something out. What do you think Christian Fuchs can do, Simon, with the experience that he has?
I'm surprised they've gambled on him, frankly. I mean, you're losing Football League status, you drop out of that division, and they look odds on to lose that status at the moment. And that's not going to be an easy task to get it back, as we've talked about before. I mean, the guy's got a couple of years' experience of coaching or being assistant manager or whatever he was at Charlotte, but nothing proven really. So, yeah, it's obviously a leap in the dark for them, and I don't know if he can turn it round. It didn't look like it on Saturday's performance, because I don't think Oldham, though you're talking about how good they are defensively, they're not prolific in front of goal either. So,
No, I think I wrote something down about that. I think it's the only time only the second time they've scored 3 goals all season. Before that, they had only scored at least 2 goals.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's not like they're not a high scoring team, and they're not a team that concedes a lot of goals. Do you know what I mean? So they're sort of not one for the neutral, really, if you want to go watch Oldham, because it will probably be a low scoring game in the end. But yeah, we'll move on to the National League, non-league football. I want to talk about someone that's sort of surprised us, really, in Chris Agotta, old Worthing manager. He got another win against Truro. I think you've got to speak about it just because of how well he's actually done there, which has really surprised me and all of us, because he's only lost 1 game since he's been in charge. 5 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss. And he got another away at Truro, a 3-2 win, and it moves them outside the relegation zone for the first time in a long while this season. They might have been outside of it for the first game or something like that, but it's been a long time since they've been outside of it. We doubted him, but you've got to give credit where credit's due, haven't you? Because he has done well there so far, hasn't he?
He's done okay, but I mean, Truro, we said at the beginning of the season they're probably going to be overmatched in this division, and they're starting to show it now, I think, aren't they? They're bottom, 7 points drift of the next club, and I think that's, the early season momentum's definitely gone there. But he's done okay. He's done okay at Sutton. He looks like he's turning things around there. He's still got to go down to these clubs and get the results. So yeah, it all goes well for them.
Yeah, he has done well, it's a good start for him. I still don't know how he got the job, but I was going to say exactly what Dad said. Truro are on a great side in this division. They've struggled with the step up, so it's not the most impressive result, but credit where credit is due, as you say. He's done really well since he's come in.
Yeah, especially just on the basis that Sutton are a relegation sort of battle inside, and he's only lost 1 game there. It's quite a good record to have. But in the game, Kai Jennings got a brace. Who I watched the highlights. I'm really impressed with him with the brace. 3 goals and assists since joining on loan from Wimbledon, just in 5 games. So impressed with him since he's taking a step down and getting some experience in leagues below. But Jaden Harris got the other goal as well. But yeah, Truro rock bottom, 7 points into the drop zone. It's not looking good at all there. But Sutton are still only 2 points above the drop zone, so it's going better than before I got us joined. But they still can't be comfortable, because even with the run of form that they're on, they're still only 2 points above the drop zone, which just shows how poorly they started, and now they're sort of finding a run of form, and they finally eventually made it out of the drop zone. But you wanted to talk about Simon York getting another win. It looks like they're on an absolute fire, and I think I saw a stat on York. We know Ollie Pearce, don't we? I think I saw on York's Twitter page 21 goal contributions in 20 games. I think it was. I mean, that's frightening, isn't it?
No, he really looks like he's a quality player at this level, doesn't he? Fifth win on the bounce. No great shakes really beating Brackley Town, who are on a dreadful run of form at the moment. But Brackley really were in the game for quite a long time. They came back from 1-0 down and then 2-0 down to get themselves back in the game both times. But Ollie Pearce really just showed his quality there to stamp his authority on the game and win the game for York in the 76th minute. But it frustrates me because there's so little to choose from between those top five sides. They're separated by 2 points, and it's all about momentum. And if you don't keep that momentum going, you're going to struggle. Boreham Wood are a classic example of that. Although they won at the weekend, they'd lost 2 out of 4 games before that, and they're slowly sliding back down to the chasing pack, really. But yeah, York are going great guns.
Yeah, it's such a tough division, it really is, and that's why it'd be good to see 3 going up. But we spoke about that last week without having to talk about that again. Yeah, it's such a tough division, and we all predicted York to be up there come the end of it, and since they changed manager, even though Adam Inchwood's doing really, really well for Worthing, it seems like it ended up not being the right fit for both of them because they've just pushed on massively, and even so has Adam Inchwood. So, yeah, really good for York, and no surprise to see Ollie Pearce getting on the score sheet again.
Yeah, sort of boded well with the managers, really. Sort of like a good deal for both of them because, Inchwood didn't get the time to prove himself in the National League with York, and now he's had to drop down and sort of prove himself again with Worthing. And then I think it's Stuart Maynard who's in charge at York at the minute, old Notts County manager. He's shown his experience of when he got Notts County out of the National League and got a really high scoring point scoring with Wrexham that season, that famous title race in this division. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me York are doing this well and they're absolutely frying. Josh Stones, who I mentioned maybe last week or the week before, he equalised in the game, so he's scoring goals for fun recently after I said he joined on a big transfer deal for this division. So, yeah, I think Scott Pollock plays for Brackley, doesn't he, Sterling? So
Yeah, they won on penalties in the FA Cup first round, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, and it's good to because I watched some of his content. Sorry, because watching Hashtag United as a kid, he played for Northampton. It's good to see that he's still playing at a high level because he's had injuries. So to still see him playing at a National League level is really good to see, and sort of a reason why we kind of keep a close eye on Brackley because they've got players like him playing for them. So yeah, good to see. But let's move on to the National League South, and we'll start off straight away with a game which was absolutely embarrassing. I said it to Sterling before the Brighton game. This could end badly, didn't I? I said it to you.
Hit the
Away at
nail on the head.
said it to Sterling. Away at Torquay, one of the best teams at home in the league all season. And Borough have been one of the worst teams in the league all season. So I was like, this is going to end badly. I didn't think it would end this bad.
It was so embarrassing that although only 45 brave souls made the journey to Devon from Eastbourne, the Eastbourne players have offered to reimburse their travelling expenses and admission because they were that embarrassed by their performance, and they should be. I mean, we know Torquay are one of the better teams in that division, but you're getting beat 7-0. There's something fundamentally wrong at the club, I'm afraid. Louis Dennis scored a hat-trick and a couple of other players, Young and Morgan, got 2 each. It was just comprehensive destruction, really. Torquay up to 4th, Eastbourne, Borough. They're only not rock bottom because Chippenham are even worse than them, but Chippenham won at the weekend, so they've got their work cut out. I can see them playing Ismay and Pren again next season. I really can.
Yeah.
I thought that things might change when they brought this new manager in, but he's not seemed to be able to turn it round either, has he? So I don't know whether it's the players. I know we were speaking on Saturday out the Albion, George. they lost one of their best players. What was his name? Jason something. He was on
Jason
loan. Jason, say it again.
Adigan.
Yeah, he was on loan from Dagenham and Redbridge, wasn't he?
Mm.
Last season, he was doing really well for him,
Yeah.
playing in Cam. He's gone back to Dagenham, but I don't know if he's gone elsewhere from there.
He's at Chelmsford now. He's bagging in the goals for them now.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
surprise really.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I don't know whether it's the squad. You have to point fingers at them, but I can't work out what's going on down there. We really need to go out there and watch them ourselves because
Badly.
the
Yeah.
last few times we've spoken about them, we've said we don't know what's going on. You know, they changed the manager, thought maybe that was it. It's not, evidently. So we really need to just work it out ourselves when we go watch them. It might just be that they are bloody crap, and it
Yeah.
seems like that might be the case.
Yeah, it's Tommy Witherington there. You thought from his experience last season winning the FA Trophy with Aldershot that he might bring that to the National League South, but he's somehow doing worse than Adam Gray, who played 4-4-2 long ball apparently. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how it's got worse that you're losing by 7-0. I mean, can't have been hefty. That's probably why the Eastbourne players wanted to, give them the money back because it would have only been a couple £100 for them.
No, but Torquay's quite a long way from Eastbourne,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's
Do they?
Devon, isn't it?
Is it their travel and tickets or just their
No, it doesn't
tickets?
say. It just said they reimburse them. I wouldn't have thought they would stint on it. Whatever it cost, they would have just chucked it in there, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would have just chucked it in. Well, they would have had to because that's shocking. That absolutely shocking. And
Not good enough.
yeah, as you said, Simon, the only reason why they're not bottom is because Chippenham are somehow worse than them, but they beat Tunbridge Angels 1-0 on the weekend. Their first win since beating Worthing, like in God knows, I think it was like September or so.
Yeah, right at the start of the season,
Right at
wasn't
the
it?
start of the season. So just shows how poor they've been and how poor Eastbourne have been. But I wanted to talk about a team that were sort of in that category with Chippenham and Eastbourne, but have found a really good run of form in Salisbury. A 3-0 home win against a massively informed Chelmsford side where they ended their five games, 5 wins streak. Chelmsford, Salisbury ended that 3-0 home win, which really surprised me because Salisbury haven't started off the season well, but they've now gone 17th place, 6 points outside the relegation zone because they've gone 4 games unbeaten, 3 wins, 1 draw, and 3 wins in their last 3 games. So, do you think they can stay in this division if they keep this run of form up? Because, we've seen loads of teams having good stints, sort of like Huddersfield, for example. We've seen them have good stints, and then have really poor stints, and then build it back up again. How important do you think it is for Salisbury to keep up this run of form? Because they're a relegation battling team, aren't they?
Yeah, you need a bit of consistency at any level. And when you're down the bottom, even more so, if you're sitting in mid-table, then you obviously you'd want consistency, but you got the luxury of kind of being able to go through those bad patches, but they don't. Probably saving grace is that they've got Eastbourne below them who are pretty crap, But I think Salisbury are one of those teams in this division. They're one of the more boring sides.
Yeah,
I think I probably said that in my predictions,
yeah,
and they're one of the teams that I kind of always seem to
them.
they all them and
Them,
Slough, yeah, always
yeah,
seem to just overlook them when I'm looking at things to talk about. Maybe that's because they're not great, but yeah, brilliant run of form. Sorry to any Salisbury fans if they're listening. Brilliant run of form, and really that's all they need to kind of give them a kick up the arse.
yeah, 100%. And I was looking at their squad. They've got Matt Taylor up top. You probably don't. Oh, well, I don't remember him, but I was looking at his, sort of player profile. 35-year-old striker that has lots of EFL experience, had lots of appearances for Oxford and Bristol Rovers were the main 2 teams that he'd been at, and he's up top for them. 35. years old. You've seen, Andy Carroll must be older than that, and you got Lyle Taylor. So there's lots of players with lots of EFL experience deciding to make the jump down to this division because I think they realise how much quality that it's having, how many players are deciding to join this league because this league's quality is growing in depth every single season and every month.
Yeah,
Free transfers, etc., etc. And he's another prime example of Matt Taylor joining a team quite near the bottom of the table and deciding, yeah, I'll join them. And he's only scored 2 goals, so it shows how tough it is. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? So, yeah, what do you think of it all, Simon? Because Salisbury aren't the best of teams, but they're getting strikers like Matt Taylor playing up for them. He's got bags of EFL experience, and
Yeah,
then
I mean,
they've gone
he's
for.
35 years old though, isn't he? So, it's going to be tough playing against people that are 10, 15 years younger than you. I think that's going to be his problem. We've spoken about Salisbury briefly before. They've got a really interesting chairman. I forget what his name is now, but he's got lots of
Yeah.
crypto money behind him and wants to get Salisbury further up the pyramid than they are now. This is the highest they've ever been since they reformed. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. It's one to keep an eye on, definitely.
I just wanted to touch on something I saw that Andy Carroll got an assist on the weekend for Dagenham and Redbridge. Got an assist, and then as you saw a video, it was him that posted
I
it,
bet it was.
and he was saying,
I bet it
"Huh?
was.
No one else wants to post him." Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It was him, and he's saying no matter what, or 35 years old, 10 plus years Premier League, and your mum still tells you what you could have done better in the game, and it was just a video of his mum.
Yeah.
He was walking over to his mum at the end of the game, and she was saying, "You could have done this, you could have done that better," and he's like, "I've got an assist."
I did see that actually. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it just shows even at the top level, you can still have your parents chirping on it. Yeah, to tell you what you can, what you need to improve on, and what you've done well. So
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, Enfield. I just wanted to mention Enfield. We haven't done depth information, but they got a 5-1 win against Farnborough, which I thought we should mention just because of the depth of the victory, having a 5-1 win. I think that's a bottom of the table clash. I think it's like 19th versus 20th, and they absolutely destroyed them, Enfield. So fair play to them. I thought I'd mention it, but not a good look for Farnborough there. Right, move on to the Isthmian Prem. And there was a lot of high-scoring games in this division. You picked out one here, Simon, with Folkestone and Victor getting another win against Cheshunt and cruising at the top of the Isthmian Prem table.
So what stood out to me with this game was the fact that all 6 games came in the first half. It's I've been at games like that when it's just absolute carnage in the first half, and you think, well, if it's 4-2 at the moment, what's this going to end up at? And 9 times out of 10, it stays exactly the same. As you say, they're just going great guns. They've still only lost that one game against hashtag all season, Folkestone and Victor. It's them and Brentwood really that are leading the way at the top of that table. It's difficult to see who can catch them up. Chatham are on a good run of form, and Averley sort of a quite consistent team as well. But Folkestone and Victor look like the pick of the bunch to me at the moment. I know I've spoken about them before, but they really, it's that one defeat at hashtag still boggles the mind really, because hashtag when we saw them weren't that particularly good, and they're down in 19th at the moment. And struggling.
Yeah, they're definitely the favourites for the league. And you mentioned Averley, they're creeping up there because they didn't have the best start, did they? But yeah, I'd say they're definitely the favourites for sure.
100% the favourites, aren't they? And they're going big guns. Jake Hutchinson and Adam Lovett got on the score sheet. Adam Lovett, I think, played for hashtag for a stint, but now he's at Folkestone.
I recognise that name.
Yeah, and they got Jake Hutchinson, who I've mentioned before. He's just keeps scoring, and he got another one in the game as well as Joe Piggott adding to his tally for the season. So they just keep winning and winning, really, as Simon said, sort of just a blip at hashtag, which stopped them. But my Cheshunt predictions slowly coming to life. I think they're in 19th now. I predicted them to go down, so it's my guess is slowly coming to life, which is good to see. But we'll finally touch on Welling's new boss having a, let's say, tragic start. I mean, we saw Norwich having a bad start with Philip Clement 4-1, but Ryan Maxwell, the new Welling boss, lost 6-1 away at Billericay. I mean, that's a tragic start for him. I mean, I just wanted to talk about, you can't take anything away from Billericay, first of all. Really good result, but Welling have been tragic since they've been relegated from the
Yeah.
League South. 21st, 8 points inside of the drop zone. I mean, 41 goals conceded this season. That's 2.4 goals conceded a match on average. 14 losses all season with just 3 wins. They haven't drawn a game. I mean, what do you think needs to change there? Because they've changed the manager and he's just lost 6-1. Because, like, I don't know what needs to happen there. What do you both think?
It is a massive surprise, you know. We thought they were going to be one of the better teams in the division coming down, you know, and maybe one of the favourites to go up. And then obviously didn't go very well first, 10 or so games. And this fella come in and he's got the experience in higher leagues. Correct me if I'm wrong, I remember saying.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you are right.
Yeah, I remember us saying.
He was
Say
at
again?
Braintree.
Yeah, so I remember that, and I remember us saying, yeah, well, they should be kicking on. And didn't they sign Femi Akinwande as well?
Yeah.
Welling. So they've got a good, they've got a good manager there, it seemed, anyway, and they've got a brilliant striker at this level, but it just doesn't seem to be clicking at all. And I can't work out why.
No, it's confusing, and with the quality throughout the squad and the manager, I don't know how it's not working out. I mean, we'll have to see how he gets on after this, because a 6-1 defeat isn't the best of starts, is it? But it wasn't a manager bounce that we usually see, so you're going to have to hope and sort of just hope they revolutionise something there, because it's really not good, and the only team below Potters Bar Town who are somehow doing even worse than them, which I don't know how that's even
Yeah,
possible.
well, I mean, there's no stability there at the club, is there? I mean, Paul Bart was there to start the season off, and they got rid of him after they got beat by hashtag United. So, and then they had some guy called Rod Stringer in there as interim manager. Now they got this guy, and I mean, it's just too much chopping and changing. You've got to have stability in the manager, the manager's voice, the manager's players, and without that, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, exactly. But take nothing away from Billericay. 5 games unbeaten now, moved into 8th after a poor start.
Yeah.
Who, with the manager now being at St Albans, so we'll see how both of them got on. Because Andy Scopes is there, the old Aveley manager, so it's sort of like loads of manager are moving about in this division.
A bit of churn, yeah. Carousel.
Yeah, lots of that. And recently, 9 games, 4 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss. So really good run of form. And, he's moved them back into playoff contention, Danny Scopes, which is good to see, with a bit of National League South experience. And he's got Liam Nash playing for them, who we mentioned at the start of the season. He's the club's top goal scorer of 5 goals. So with the positive talking we sort of had for him, he's sort of, helping up. But yeah, that's the way. But he's backed up what we said about him, and he's got top goal scorer for them at this minute in time. So that's really good to see. But you want to see a change at Welling, but hopefully Billericay can keep up that consistency, because we've said it a few times. The way they stayed in this division last season is the reason why you want the free up campaign, because them and Horsham clear outrunners in this division last season, and then Billericay lost in the playoffs because there's only one automatic spot, and anything can happen in the playoffs. We've seen that throughout the divisions last season when we didn't do the podcast, but we'll probably see more surprises like it at the end of the season as well. So it really wouldn't surprise me if, two teams like maybe Folkestone and Brentwood go battling that out until the end, and then one of them bottles it and then bottle it in the playoffs. So we'll have to wait and see. But we'll end it there. It's the last one with Simon for about 6 weeks. You will be missed, mate. As me and Sterling have said, great asset to the podcast, and obviously you'll have a blast in Australia. So I bet you're looking forward to that. But we've got guests lined up, so don't stop listening. We've got some really good guests coming on that we know well. So we're all lined up, and we'll keep the podcast going. Obviously, so
carry the torch for you.
Yeah, don't go away. We'll be going over Christmas. We'll have some Christmas specials and all sorts, won't we, Sterling? We'll keep the podcast going. But
keep the flame alive.
Anything to say, Simon, before you go?
No, it's been a pleasure to do these episodes with you, and I'm going to miss doing it, but when I come back in the new year, hit the ground running. Probably need a week to catch up with everything, though.
I'm sure you won't miss it too much when you're sat drinking a beer in 30-degree heat and we're freezing our bollocks off here.
The ashes, mate. We'll be sat here. Me and Sterling will be editing and posting and all sorts.
Yeah, think of us.
Think of us, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks all for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.